to this computer. Okay.
Can you hear me, George?
Yeah, I can.
Good evening.
So you should now see a lead screen. Can I just confirm that? Elevating horses.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So a very warm welcome to everybody who's turned out this evening. I do apologise it's so late, and I hope it won't take too much of your time. Actually, I'm very thrilled by the number of people who have joined the webinar because it's indicative of the concern people have for the welfare of their horses and the wish to do better. So thank you for that. And what I plan to do this evening is just go through a little bit of a journey about where we've got to and why we're doing this project, what the project involves, and then on the call is Lisa, who'll be really leading all the real hard work stuff of this. I'm just corralling stuff, so she's doing all the hard work, and then we can take questions at the end of it. So we started a project in the ABRS called Elevating Horse Welfare and Enhancing Sustainability, Nurturing Horses and Empowering People. And it was really spurned out of the work that was going on at Ryder's Farm and the work that Lisa was doing that was recommended to me. And the context of it is that the whole future of riding schools is under threat. It's either financial instability or uncertainty. It could be horse welfare gaps and the social license, whatever that's now called, or it could be environmental pressures. And those three things are coming together to create a lot of pressure on riding schools. And I wanted to see whether we as the ABRS could do something that would be helpful. I can't solve it, but I might be able to help. And that's what I was wanting and trying to do. So, where are we trying to get to? There's lots of words here, but a thriving, sustainable future where horses, equestrians, and the environment are better together. And there is an intersect between all of those three circles where there are things that we can do that have an effect on all three areas, the horses, the equestrians, and the environment. And what we want to do is empower coaches, and through our coaches, and empower riders. So what we want to do as ABRS is, and there's lots of people doing it, so I don't take any any central part of this. Throughout the equestrian industry, there's lots of people wanting to champion the culture of ethical horse welfare, ecological stewardship, and community trust. So we're all on that journey together, and I've just got one set of programs I'm trying to do that might help with that. So what we're trying to do is a process of education, partnerships, and commitment that we hope to build welfare communities and sustainable practices. That's what we're trying to do. Okay. Now I said there are the three circles, and the three circles have got some cut over between them. In the question area, we're looking to wanting to workshop and mentor people to enhance ethical practices. And I'll come back to that. On the equine side, we're wanting to train people in the 5 domains and conduct welfare audits so that we can measure and improve horse welfare. And at the bottom, we would like to do environmental activity that would improve both your affordability and horse welfare. That's what we'd like to do. In the purpose of the project I'm doing today, I'm just focusing on that part, the equestrians and equines. And it's a project around educating riders and staff to improve horse welfare, create a culture of accountability and sustainability, and earn trust. So that's what I'm focusing on, that top part. Now, the project I'm calling is Riding School Futures Equine Care and Coaching Project, and it's a number of parts to it. So firstly, I've managed to get some funding. That funding only supports a pilot project of 6 schools. So what I was hoping to do was identify 6 schools that would like to take part as pilot centres. I want them to be regionally based. I want them to be diverse, and working with Elisa and others to update their horse welfare coaching practice in line with the first principles of horse training and the 5 domains model. So that's what I'd like the 6 schools to do. But on this call, there are pretty much 30 schools. How do I take the schools that don't manage to be selected on the journey with me? And so we want to share the lessons that we learn along the way with as many riding schools as we can. I don't know quite how to do that. And that's where Lisa comes in, and people like you can probably suggest ways. But we think that if we can get it right, there'll be a ripple effect, and we'll be able to pass on lessons and ways of practice that would benefit us all. Initially, I'm going to look at some social media type stuff. I'll look at some webinars, maybe even do some regional events. And what I'm looking to do is understand what, why, and how we have real impact, and what is really deliverable by a riding school. It's all well and good coming up with all sorts of fancy things, but if you can't deliver it because it's either too costly or it's not practical, then it's not going to happen. So I really want to identify what can be done realistically, the what, why, and how, and the impact it has. Lisa, and she'll explain a little bit more of her background, she's going to apply some social science methodology on this to assess the impact of the project. So we're not going to just say this project had an impact. We want to measure and actually have some sort of proof that what we're doing is beneficial. Because if we can't prove it, it's not worth spending the money. It's not worth your time doing it. So I really want us to pragmatically assess the impact of the project, and then we can look about how we share what really works. So the program is being specifically designed for riding schools. We're not doing anything too fancy here. It's designed for riding schools, and specifically 6 England-based riding schools. And I have had some individuals from the other nations pushing me, but sadly the money is coming from Sports England, and that doesn't allow me to do anything other than an English riding school. I will look to see what I can do elsewhere, but at the moment it's 6 England-based riding schools. We want to get a bit of diversity, size, their readiness for change, different operational models, different starting points. But what's important to me is I need a commitment to improving horse welfare and ethical practices. So what we will be targeting is horse rider educators and coaches involved in training and handling. The management teams are responsible for the operational running of the riding schools, the handlers and yard staff responsible for the horse's care, and the whole of that as a holistic whole. And Lisa will work collaborative, and I'll come up with how that will happen a little bit later on. But it'll be in your yards. It's not going to be some fancy thing online. This will be practical activity occurring on your yard, managed by Lisa. So what are the key conditions, environments influencing the program? So there are some things that will make this program easier or more difficult to run. Some of them about, and what Lisa's job is to influence all of these 6 things, because each of them have got slightly different impacts on how the program will run. But there's your own institutional culture. What do you believe? What do you think? What are your behaviours? And we know through some work we've done in another yard that not everybody's in the same space, even within a yard. There are some people more ready for change and some people less ready. So it's about coming with everybody. It's about routines and reward systems, understanding what your existing handling and training practices are, including language, your reinforcement strategies, and seeing how those can be adapted and modified to deliver the outcomes. There are also some physical stuff. We're going to do both in hand and under saddle context. So it won't just be all ridden. Some of it will be in hand and some of it will be under saddle. We will look at your readiness for change, and we'll help you through that. There's some ethical cognitive framing, particularly, and there's some controversy, but I'm with Lisa about the first principles of horse training, and that really does stretch some people's existing coaching practice, and that's a bit of work that's going to have to be done. And then reflective environment, what we want is people to be open and willing to learn and willing to be reflective along the route, because that's the only way that you'll learn from what we're trying to do. So how's the program working? So we're going to use applied equitation science, which comes a lot from the ISES. We'll do this reflective practice, which is about self-examination of your norms, routines, and assumptions. Will be blended, so we'll do some online, because what I would like to do, and you'll see the moment, the schedule, I want Lisa to come to your site, do some work with you. You will then need to do some work yourself. We'll come together on a webinar or a Zoom and talk about where we are and what problems we're having, and then Lisa will come again, and we'll do this through a cycle of on-site learning. You need to do some stuff yourself, a discussion, and then another bit of an on-site learning. It's participatory, I can't even say it, and tailored. So we want to make sure that what we do works for your school. We're not trying to build a one-size-fits-all. That won't work either. So we've got to make sure that it's tailored to what you want, and for that you've got to participate in the process, because at the end of the day you've got to own the change that's going to occur. And then there's some social cultural learning, where we look at teams, their values, and we align those towards the goals that we're trying to see. So that's a kind of very long description. You can quiz Lisa on a lot of this, because she's the brainy one amongst us, and she can align you on some of this, because this is deeply into the area that she's working in within the work she's doing today. Okay, so what's the program going to look like, and what will we provide you? So I'll talk about the selection process a little bit more, but by the end of August, 6 schools will have been selected to take part in the program. Then I'm planning a visit to the World Horse Welfare site in the southwest. That could be a bit of a trek for some of you, but they're already implementing the 5 domains model at one of their sites, and it'll give us the opportunity to talk through what does that really mean for them, and for us to meet as a team and work out how we'll take the next steps forward. So I'll need you to commit to coming down to the southwest to the World Horse Welfare site. I've also through Lisa's good efforts managed to negotiate a 50% discount from the University of New England's 5 domains training package. This is a really well respected training package, very well respected. It's worth six CPD points. So it's respected by across the board in World Horse Welfare, BHS. Everybody respects this course, and I'm going to need you to undertake some of that training. I would suggest you're going to need to get about 3 members of staff, but it could be more, to do that 5 domains training. That will cost you a little bit, but I have managed to get the price down by 50%. But for me, the financial commitment is part of your commitment to the process, and I want to support you, but I don't want to spoon feed you. Then in October, Lisa will do a first on-site visit, and she can talk about that a bit more in a moment. And we've also got the ABRES conference in October at Brooksbury Equitation Centre between Leicester and Melton Mowbray. That is solely going to be focused on horse welfare. That we'll be having a debate about what five domains means. We'll be having a debate about what the first principles of horse welfare is. We've got nutritional experts coming to talk about nutrition, which is one of the five domains. We will have some discussions from Wild Horse Welfare down in Southwest as to how the processes work for them. So it'll be hopefully a very informative conference. And I'm not insisting anybody comes to this, but I would love to see you there if that's something you can do. I then plan in November to have a progress Zoom meeting, and the purpose of that is you'll have your on-site visit with Lisa, and the progress Zoom is really to see how you've got on, and to be able to, Lisa will be on the call. We can talk through how each school is getting on, what they're learning, what they're not learning, the problems they're having. Lisa can give some online guidance and advice, and that hopefully you'll find helpful. I also want to start getting the message out more broadly, and I want to do that initially through social media. So I'm going to ask you to work with my EquiEdge, who's my social media company, to to uh, to document how you're getting along the way. So, I mean, we'll make sure that you're tagged. We'll make sure that you get some kudos out of it. But if we're going to make this work, we need to ripple out the thing. We need to bring the enthusiasm from the wider grouping, not just the people in the school. Then there'll be a second on-site visit in December, followed by a progress and Zoom and social media, a third on-site visit, etc., going right through for a year through to June, July, August. I've got one proviso which I need to throw in here. My current funding from the BF finishes at the end of March. In reality, I think I've got enough to see me through to the end of April. I might have a little bit more. I will bid for more money, but it may be that we're going to struggle at this back end, and I might be asking for some contribution to the back end. But I'll try and avoid that if I can. If I can fund this, I will. To put it in context, this is for each of you. This is several £1,000s of free consultancy you'll be getting, and that's what that's what I think this project deserves. By the way, I think it deserves that. So I don't make that as a kind of trite comment. I think this project deserves it. Okay, so what do we want from you? As I said, I need people to do the UNE short course on the five domains, and I've got the 50% off the course price. You can get a discount code if you go to our area on Ticketailor. If you just register for it, you'll get a discount code come through to you, which you can use. The price goes up and down. I'm saying £50, 50%, because it's an Australian course, and as the Australian dollar to pound fluctuates, the price of the course is fluctuating slightly. I need you to make staff available for the training days with Lisa, and so that's a commitment and cost to you, but you need to have the staff there. Otherwise, there's no point doing this. I need you to really think monthly, reflectively about what you're doing and how you're progressing it, and we'll talk about it on the Zooms every couple of months. And I need you to work with our social media team in order to get the ripple effect and get the message out that this is going on. And of course, I said I'd love you to join us at the annual conference. Okay, I'm going to hand over to Lisa. I'd like Lisa to explain a little bit about what her background is, and then she can go through how she will work with you as we work forward. So Lisa, can I hand across to you?
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, great. Thank you, George. Do I have the screen or you'll just do it as I talk? Yeah.
I'll do it as you talk. Do you want to start?
Okay.
Just introduce yourself first.
Yeah, I'd love to. So yeah, my name is Lisa Ashton. I have been sort of in this space of growth and development of evidence-based knowledge, or applying the science of how horses learn for 20 years. And so it sort of really feels quite a milestone to be able to be given this opportunity from a Sport England funded project, through which has been supported fully by British Equestrian and led. I mean, George's leadership on this. I just want to thank you again, George. This has got us to this milestone where we're here tonight. I get to see you guys. I don't want to do all the talking. I will open this up shortly. But George wants a little bit of context to how we got here. And certainly in the last 5 years, in 2020, I wrote about, for coaches, the understanding of what it means to have something where there is no physical contract, but the requirement of society accepting or rejecting what we do. And I talk about this in our project as community trust. I've moved from social license to operate into public trust because the world is changing, and it has been changing rapidly for the last 5 years. And in that time, we have been exposed to probably seen behaviours dealing with our beloved horses that have actually shocked you, enraged you, and deeply saddened you. And we are the public. Like, we are both inside equestrian application. So I'm talking about from learning to ride, training to sport. We are enjoying the relationship that we earn and learn about with our horses, and yet we are feeling a rapid sort of degradation of those relationships that we've been having for thousands of years with horses. So where we've got to is this sort of, can we demonstrate that we do safeguard horses' physical, but the latest understanding, and why we're asking you to commit to the University of New England's online 20-hour course, is the fifth domain. So we have 4 domains that feed into the fifth domain for all animals, not just horses. It's been around since 1994, so it's not new. It's called the 5 domains welfare model. But what it really sharpens for all of us as horse lovers and professionals with horses is it sharpens both the physical that we've been safeguarding for decades with the mental state. And we will go into that in this project, very specifically the mental state of riding school horses, and how we can actually optimize and demonstrate, which is where I come in as my background, positive horse welfare. And what that really means is, can we actually demonstrate horses that are thriving rather than just either surviving or not having a life worth living? So there's quite a few models going on in this space of animal welfare, equine welfare, and through the leadership of the ABRS, we have absolutely bring this intersectionality of optimizing the horses in our riding schools' lived experience. So we know that you're doing a great job, but we want to look at what else we can do that's better, and bringing in, for us as equestrians, the ability to reflect and be introspective of everything we do with our horses, so that we can build community trust and really earn the ability to safeguard our horses, and therefore the sustainability of riding schools. So that's quite a long-winded explanation, but it really is very on point. You are really at the cutting edge of what's happening in animal welfare science, positive horse welfare, and being able to demonstrate we're earning public trust. So how are we going to actually do this? Well, this is what, George, do you mind moving us into the slides? These are our outcomes, and so just take a moment to read them yourselves. Each one has been carefully thought about, and I will bring this to you in these various on-site training sessions where I meet you where you are. So I know that you'll all have, absolutely, as you should, different depths and breadths of knowledge and skills. And I call this procedural knowledge. It's not sorry, I haven't made it up, but it's the understanding of applying what we know in order to leave horses better or to be able to improve their lived experience. You can really see that we start with safety and communication. We go deep into reading their emotional state. There's a posh word for it called affect. All it means is their arousal and how they feel about something. The two together actually result in their affect. And for you and I, that's their emotional state. And then I'm going to help you all explore for that individual horse who may have, we've identified maybe negative affect or negative emotions, and that could be in hand and or under saddle. And what we will do is help the horse resolve for the horse that that experience, that emotional state. I'll be embedding for you all the first principles. So there's 1 to 10 of them. If you are wanting a bit of revision on that, we have a webinar that was probably our longest webinar last year. I think it's webinar 4. So yeah, take a good look at that on the ABRS YouTube channel. But we really want to build this strength of culture of growth. And I'm talking about having cultures of growth in all our equestrian spaces. So, you know, all the places where we have chosen to have relationships with our horses, and to actually build this ability to go from the mindset of this is how we've always done it and grow into and develop actually being grassroots horse centered. You know, what is it about this our decisions that we make that are centering the horse's lived experience? And then the last one is being able to sort of get ourselves very ready for what's coming, and what's coming is just more expansion of demonstrating positive horse welfare. And certainly we know that from the field of positive animal welfare, that this is where we're heading. And there's been quite a few recent consensus of scientists of what that actual definition is. Yep, next slide. Oh, God, sounded a bit reminiscent. Just things that I'll be doing. The first on-site one is I'm meeting your team. I'm going to be leaning into your team, individual values, your beliefs, your attitudes. We'll be doing some collective stuff. And then in our second visit, I will be coming and meeting you where you are with in-hand training, followed by a second in-hand training that's very targeted to the work of your horses and what they experience being a riding school horse. Then we go in from 4-5 into under saddle, very specific again about how your horse experiences multiple riders, from, you know, never ridden before to much more refined cues, which we talk about as principle number 9, the correct use of aids or signals. And then the final one is this sort of mapping of sort of what's actually happened over this 12-month journey. It will take us 12 months to meet up all these times with the gaps between online, but you can see that to the right is a illustration where in the center is the 3 F's. We're talking about a 4th F, which is the word fortitude. Basically, can we help horses have more predictability, controllability of their world, their lives, as well as that phrase or understanding of self-carriage? So that's the ability for horses to experience the absence of pressure. So keep going until you signal otherwise. And that's been a really interesting experience for me to work with riding school horses that perhaps historically may now be having to show up and switch that off and to habituate to relentless leg pressures or rein pressures. So we'll lean into that because it matters to their mental state. It matters to the 5th domain, which you can see on the outside. So yeah, really looking forward to getting stuck into this. I do have a book coming out that will actually hopefully support you all. It's there to be a supportive text with Taylor and Francis, and that is called Welfare Horse Sports, a blueprint for positive change. So I do think that will be another resource that can take the team at your riding school on this journey. I think that's it, isn't it? I don't think I've got any more. That's it. There you go.
So super. So what's next? After the webinar, you'll get an email from me through Ticket Taylor, which will give you a link to a Google form. I'm looking for you to complete that by the end of July. And we'll use that data to select the 6 goals that best allow us to meet the project objectives. there's no right or wrong riding school, but I need to get the diversity to demonstrate how enhancing equine well-being can be effectively implemented in varying riding school environments. It does leave me the question, we've got 32 on the call. If I get select six, that leaves 26 who aren't going to be selected. And I am worried about how I take everybody on the journey with us, and we'll have to work on that. We'll have to think about how we do that, and I'm more than happy to take any ideas, whether it's a quarterly webinar or I don't know. But I've only got funding for 6. I can't do more than I can do, and it is a pilot to work out what works and what doesn't work. I said it's limited to England because funding is from Sports England via the BEF. We won't let you know by the end of August, and don't apply if you can't commit to it. I need 6 schools that will see it through. So I hate to be sort of quite blunt about it, but if you can't commit to it, then don't apply. And then just take up what Lisa said. I've been working a lot with the BEF. There's a now, I think, called the Equine Welfare Steering Group. It led out what happened in the Olympics and the seismic reaction that had in this Olympics and the previous Olympics when a horse was beaten up in the decathlon. And so we are looking as a grouping within the BF about what do we do, but I don't think I can make it too blunt to say, all the evidence points that life's going to get more difficult for us if we don't find the best ways to convince everybody else. We already do know we look after our horses, but we've got to convince everybody else that we do. And sadly, often it's the people who are not within our influence, or the people who are causing the issues. But it's a big issue, and I'm trying to find a pragmatic way forward through it. So that's really what I had. I'll stop sharing at that point and throw it open to anybody who would like to ask any questions.
Just very quickly, I forgot to mention about the methodology we're using to actually assess the impact. So we're specifically using social science, a methodology called realist ripples evaluation mapping, used specifically at the moment in physical activity, also in other health domains, as well as conservation. But we're really trying to do the pathways, or the impact pathways, through a realist lens, and that is really quite exciting for me because it's really sort of intersecting animal welfare with social science, and that is again another sort of groundbreaking sort of moment for us to bring together this specific methodology in order to learn the why, the what, and the how. The methodology really leans into something called causation, and that's really exciting for me, that we will probably, because you're hopefully agreeing to the 6 pilot, the 6 riding schools, that we're actually going to be like walking brand new territory. We're going to be exploring through the realist ripples evaluation mapping methodology, actual impact pathways, and what was the mechanisms for the causation of why and the how and the what is actually working, and or not, as the case may be. So yeah, really exciting for me to be actually leading this project. And I do have a team. One of them's on the Zoom tonight, Jen Watson. She's finished her master's in equestrian science a couple of years ago, and is also upskilled in realist ripples mapping evaluation. So I'm not doing everything, and yeah, really excited to come to your, hopefully on after post selection, come to your riding school and meet your team and actually meet you where you are.
Okay, so China, I think you want to ask a question.
Hello, for everyone, my name's China. I'm the yard manager and head coach at Ebony Horse Club in Brixton. So we're a charity riding school, and it's I want to start. Thank you, Lisa and George, for that. It does seem really exciting. My question is hopefully going to be helpful for everyone. It sounds really interesting. I would love to sign up, but my question would be the visits. Is that are those dates going to be flexible for us? Because that we've got a really strict sort of program that we run, and I wondered how long each visit would be and if there is sort of flexibility.
Yeah, great
Like,
question. Oh, yeah, I'd love to take that, Ebony. Good to see you again. And thank you always for your enthusiasm. Yeah, your team are obviously really just processing the challenges that we're in. So one of the things that I've been exploring with Riders Equestrian Farm Centre is being agile. So, I've been very specific with their team, with their culture, that I am meeting them where they are. So yes, I am agile with the dates. That's the first thing, is the answer. But because this is a collective project, what we can't be is we can't have six, or say a couple of the six riding schools, being quite far behind each of these milestones of the actual process. So I think agile, yes, to days of those weeks that I'm showing up to do the on-site training, but also I'm going to be agile with what makes your minimum effective dose. So for example, riders had that opportunity, and what they chose for their team is to split the team into two. They sort of grouped them with their sort of confidence levels. And then I ended up sort of doing repeat sessions that turned out so beautifully unique to each of the people in the two groups that we really can demonstrate we're meeting everyone where they are. So I do think it's going to be much more about you working out what you can do, China, and then me having that information to work that around with the other five.
Yeah, that's really helpful. And so, with your experience with riding,
Sorry, can't hear you, China.
Sorry, I'll speak louder. With your experience, I know this is a completely different program, but would it be a whole day thing, a morning thing?
Yeah.
Or
I'm going to be arriving for the whole day. You've got me for
Brilliant.
the whole day. But I think what we love about this particular project is what you need. Now, we won't get that probably established. I need to do the first cultural mapping to get some flesh to that skeleton. But after that, I will literally consult with you to know how this will fit your specific culture, your sort of micro culture of your organization. And you can even say to me, look, there's two different microcultures between your coaches and your volunteers, so you're going to have to work out. So
that's going to be
it. So leave that with me. What we just need is the time allocated, but you do get a full day. How you want to chop that up to meet the needs of volunteers, or your how you work your own business structure. I think that's probably this I hope the excitement of this project. We have absolutely chosen this to be really agile and really flexible for your needs, because otherwise, what's the point?
And I suppose, as you say, it's good for you to, so say if I am running a lesson like a schools group, it's good for you to see that, right?
Yeah.
So,
I call this, so if you can build your team up with the confidence that this is actually it's supportive, the infrastructure is there to support them. I call this show and tell. So your first visit will be them wanting to show, and whatever that is, I will meet them where they are. So that would be really exciting. Now, some of the team at Riders didn't have the confidence to do that, so I still met them where they were. Does that make sense? So I'm wherever your team is at, and that it will be on a continuum of confidence to help me understand where you are, and then I will build from that. Plus I have Jen with me on the day, so she also is she's qualified in equine science, she has a diploma. Like, this is all about meeting people where you are and synthesizing first principles, and that is really probably the skill of the facilitators, I guess.
Thank you.
Anybody else got a question? Any hands up? Okay. I don't want to push it because it's late in the evening.
Hello, can I ask a question, please?
Yeah, Anne, do please.
Yes. Is this open only to ABRS approved riding schools or to others?
No, it's open to anybody, but I will put a but in there. The but is I will go for as you might expect, I'll go for ABRS schools first. And,
obviously,
and then I want to go to diverse section. So if I can't get the diverse section from ABRS, then I will go into other riding schools. Of course, the other option is you join us anyway, Anne. So without
I did try to get them to join. I don't own the riding school where I work, but I did try to get them, or suggested that they look at ABRS, because they came away from the BHS because they felt they weren't getting any support from them at all.
Can I just reiterate? Sorry.
On.
I was just going to reiterate your diversity. You've been really leading this. You've been a real breath of fresh air to work with. George is all about diversity and inclusion. And so, the more diverse the 6 show up, the more I think this project will get to the realist of the challenges we're all facing and the sort of impact pathways of this particular project and this particular pilot. So the more diverse, the better. We won't be looking for repeating the same sort of cultures as riding schools. We are looking for that difference, that sort of point of difference from those 6 riding schools.
And I'm not going to take part in the selection panel. I've got some trustees who've applied, and so I need to kind of stand back. It'll be Louise and hopefully Louise and Lisa will do the actual looking at and selecting for me, in order I can keep a clean set of hands and not be seen to be partial. But I'm always inclusive, whether people are ABRES or not. You know me. I'll pick up the phone and answer anybody's question at any time and help anybody. It's what I think we need to do as a grouping. Hannah, you've got a question.
Hello, yeah. I was just wondering if you could kind of give like a bit of an overview of like the what will be involved, just so we know what we're committing to, really.
Yeah, the what is actually taking a deep dive into your interactions with your horses. So I'm actually going to be really sharp and really zoned in on how your horses feel about your interactions. And I will be translating that through the lens. So you'll understand that the first principles are evidence-based, so they're peer-reviewed, and I will be, I guess, if Louise is in, she might better answer it a bit better. I'm not sure she made it tonight.
No, I don't think she made it.
No, is also pick up the phone and speak to riders, speak to Louise from Riders Farm. But really, I'm trying to hear where you are already. That's part of the process, to then provide additionality in terms of optimizing that individual horse's lived experience. And it's been quite interesting from experience at Riders. There will be some sessions where all of the horses are really quite functional, I mean physically, but also mentally. Whereas some have already, and you might relate this because you want specific content, some have actually desensitized to rider rein pressure. And so now we've got horses that have a heavy and delayed stop response. But you knew that, like when you look at your horses, they don't have this optimal, when we scan for how they feel, for their lived experience, you know this anyway. And perhaps maybe what I can offer is like a bridge of content that can, in that session, you will see by the end of that day, some actual changes, very quick, short changes that when your team ripple this to your own clients with consistency, the content, you'll be able to feed back next month into the Zoom group and talk about, say, the horse is Bob, and talk about Bob's experience of experiencing first principles. And in particular, principle number 4 is regard for their emotional state. And perhaps this is the project that's going to really put the spotlight on riding school's emotional state. That's what I'm excited about anyway. So there's some specific content. Is that the sort of thing you meant?
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, so I think George will know us. So we're at Hope Meadows, and our pathway is therapeutic horse riding for mental health. And obviously comes in some level of like learning to ride, but something we've definitely found is the horses do seem to switch off, and obviously we want them to be in tune with the riders, and like the riders be able to be in tune with them, and we do a lot of in-hand groundwork as well, so that would be really cool.
No, that sounds so excited. This is the diversity we're after, isn't it, George? Really, to be able to expand the breadth of our sector, and to be able to really show up for our horses in their roles that they play for us and our relationships with them. So yeah, that's really exciting to hear that, Hannah. And meeting you where you are, you've just already given me some really lovely data or information about how they do actually as a coping mechanism probably do need to have that off. What I want to explore is the ethics of how we help that horse return and attune back to your riders and your handlers, and how we navigate that will be co-created, Hannah. So,
Yeah.
I'm not here to prescribe anything. I'm
Yeah.
here to share evidence-based knowledge and meet your individual horses and your coaches and your team, and to navigate. And that's why there's a lot on reflexive praxis.
Yeah.
It is going to be about me offering content that your team reflects on and ripples it to help more horses.
Yeah, that's great. Sorry, can I just
Go on, Hannah.
I just have one more little question. So in terms of like the research and the write-up, do we need to be involved in like so at Hope Meadows, I think all the staff have got masters, and we've got our CEO's just about to finish a doctorate. So like we've all got a lot of like research experience, but I wondered whether that's like relevant or needed or
It's not necessary. I mean, I'm bringing Jen in. She's actually capturing the data and she's sort of moving this forwards. But because you are recognizing that your culture has this sort of through line, and it could actually be another impact pathway, we won't know until we start mapping it to
Okay.
evaluate this. But if that is pivotal, maybe a second project will explore that. But I
Okay.
think it's certainly definitely not a criteria of this project, but it will be mapped, and it could actually be a mechanism of why what is happening in your organization is happening. And that could be really interesting when we get to see the data.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks,
I
Hannah.
think, Hannah, what you also raise is one of the reasons why I'm so wanting to do this, because the future of riding is not us. The future of riding is the people we're teaching today. And I want to make sure that what we're doing is right by the horses and right by them. We don't get them to do the right things we don't coach them and get them to do the right things. How will we ever move forward? So that's partly why it is. Joe, I recognise that funding is a real issue for your team. Tusham, you're a charity. You do amazing work. Um, there shouldn't be much cost. So the cost, as I see it, will be pay for some University of New England courses for as many people as you think you need to do. I think that comes out at about £70 a head. And then there's going to be the visit down to the southwest to the World Horse Welfare site. Beyond that, I don't think there at the moment there's any additional cost. I will do my level best to support everybody financially as best I can, and I can tell you Lisa's being extremely generous with her time. If you could think, this is 36 trips out for her in a year. That's a lot of time out of her diary. So that's really where it is, Joe. I do recognise the challenges you've got as a charity.
And
Is there any other questions?
yeah, I just very quickly to pick up on Joe, very quickly about the UNE course. The reason why that is part of this project is once you've finished the actual 20 hours, the conversations change, and it will just really sort of help us all have a foundational level to have these discussions of within your own culture. So it's been really an important sort of scaffolding, hence why it is part of that is the only real sort of significant cost that George, and obviously getting down to World Horse Welfare. But we think it matters because obviously we don't want any barriers financially, and so it's there for a reason. Is that probably accurate, George, to sort of share?
Yeah, well, I think unless we all talk in the same language, we'll have a hurdle to climb. And the course is extremely good, and it'll get us onto the same level of language as we go forward. Any other questions?
I'd just like to acknowledge, look how all the diverse people we have in the room. One is Debbie Busby, a brilliant behaviourist whose birthday it is today. Happy birthday, Debbie. Lovely to see you. We're all just delighted that we have such diverse curiosity, and I can't ask for anything more than that. We're all deeply curious. I feel like we're all sort of going to be getting to the end of this project with George's leadership, just actually knowing ourselves a bit more, knowing each other a bit more, and but most importantly, knowing actually what is going on for horses a bit more. So yeah, really excited to be here. So thanks everyone for your evening with all of us, especially Debbie on your birthday.
Thank you. Thanks for your birthday wishes. But I'm so I won't start, but this is just such a pivot point, I believe, after, you know, as many years as you've been, Lisa, working towards optimizing horses' lived experiences. Yeah, thank you. That's that's my book, Equine Behaviour in Practice: How to Do Equine Behaviour Consultations, if that's what you want to do. And so, yeah, this is just so refreshing, so exciting, and more strength to all of you. And if I can get involved in any way, I'd be really happy to.
We'll be busy rippling out. So we're going to get going and then we'll be rippling. But certainly this text is a really useful roadmap to understand a horse's lived experiences and how we can actually show up.
Is that her text?
This is Debbie's. This is all Debbie's. There you go.
Wow.
It's the same publisher that Lisa's book is coming out with imminently.
And we're all better together. We co-create, collaborate, and just be able to sort of have each other, like support each other. That's what I'm interested in, an actual community that places the horse and their lived experience at the centre of our businesses. If that, you know, from riding schools, therapy centres, behaviour change, like let's just sort of really earn public trust. That's how I feel about it.
Okay, so I think we'll call it a day there. I hope I haven't scared you off. I'm hoping after all that, six schools actually do apply to join the program. You know, we will make it. We are trying to make it accessible. We are trying to make it, you know, something you can do. We are trying to be supportive, and we'd love people to apply. I say you should get in about an hour or so. You should get a link to Google Forms. If you have any difficulty with Google Forms, just pick up the phone to me and I can sort it out for you. I don't want the Google Forms to be a barrier either, but hopefully it should all be there. So thank you, everybody. I'm going to just stop recording